At 28, my world was rocked by a betrayal I never saw coming. It's a story that started with promises of loyalty and affection, wrapped up in the modern trappings of social media influence and digital connectivity. My partner, Bianca, 27, and I had built our relationship on a foundation of trust and mutual understanding, or so I thought. Our love story unfolded amidst the hustle and bustle of our careers. Me, a data analyst, and Bianca, a rising star in the world of social media. Despite the demands of our jobs, we found solace in each other's arms, promising to always prioritize our relationship above all else. But as life would have it, things aren't always as they seem. It was when my job allowed me to work remotely for 3 weeks out of every month that I began to notice something off about Bianca. Sure, she was always glued to her phone, but there was a certain secrecy in her actions that raised red flags. Every time I got close, she'd quickly switch apps or hide her screen as if she had something to hide. Initially, I tried to brush off my suspicions, chalking it up to paranoia or overthinking. But the nagging feeling persisted, leading me down a rabbit hole of doubt and uncertainty. Small gestures like gifting her favorite chocolate no longer seemed to bridge the growing gap between us, overshadowed by the looming specter of betrayal. When the truth finally came to light that Bianca had been cheating on me, it felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. The pain was raw and all-consuming, shattering the illusion of the perfect life we had built together. Bianca's status as an influencer, once a source of pride, now served as a painful reminder of the facade she had crafted for the world. In the aftermath of her betrayal, I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, and disbelief. At 28, I found myself at a crossroads, forced to confront the harsh realities of love and deception in the digital age. But amidst the wreckage of my broken dreams, I vowed to emerge stronger, guided by the lessons learned from my journey through heartbreak and loss. Amidst the suspicions brewing in my mind, there were more unsettling observations to add to the mix. It wasn't just Bianca's behavior with her phone that raised alarm bells. Her laptop had become a source of secrecy too. Every time I entered the room or called out to her, she'd hurriedly shut it down as if concealing something from me. The rapidity of her actions suggested a well-rehearsed routine, but little did she know I had been silently observing her every move. One day, unable to bear the weight of uncertainty any longer, I decided to confront her. With a knot in my stomach, I voiced my concerns, only to be met with dismissive reassurances. Bianca waved off my worries, claiming innocence and inviting me to inspect her laptop to quell any doubts. Reluctantly, I approached, my heart pounding in my chest, unsure of what I might find. To my surprise, there was nothing incriminating, just work-related conversations and harmless interactions with her social media contacts. It should have been a moment of relief, a reaffirmation of trust in our relationship. But instead, her sudden transparency only deepened my suspicions. It was unlike her to voluntarily reveal her digital activities, and the gesture felt forced, calculated. Despite her efforts to allay my fears, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something from me. Days passed, and the tension between us simmered beneath the surface, unspoken yet palpable. I continued to observe her, determined to gather more evidence before confronting her again. As we hosted a gathering of Bianca's influencer friends at our home, I watched her closely, noting her distracted demeanor amidst the laughter and camaraderie. Despite the facade of merriment, there was a flicker of unease in Bianca's eyes, a hint of guilt masked by forced smiles. It was as though she were carrying the weight of a secret, struggling to maintain the charade of normalcy. Even as we all enjoyed the evening together, I couldn't shake the feeling of foreboding that hung in the air. In the midst of laughter and conversation, my mind raced with questions, each unanswered query adding fuel to the growing fire of suspicion. As the night wore on, I resolved to confront Bianca once more, determined to uncover the truth hidden beneath the facade of her carefully constructed reality. Amidst the convivial atmosphere of our gathering, Bianca's behavior stood out like a sore thumb. Despite the laughter and good company, she couldn't seem to tear herself away from her phone, sneaking glances at the screen between mouthfuls of food. It didn't go unnoticed by her friends. One of them finally mustered the courage to confront her, demanding to know who she was constantly texting. Caught off guard, Bianca's facade faltered momentarily. With all eyes on her, she feigned a smile and brushed off the inquiry with a flimsy excuse about work-related messages. The tension in the room lingered, but no one pressed further, opting instead to resume their meal in uneasy silence. Later, as we tidied up after our guests had departed, Bianca broached the topic herself, casually mentioning the client she had been messaging throughout the evening. On any other occasion, it might have been a mundane conversation, but the timing felt too convenient, too rehearsed. Her sudden transparency only fueled my suspicions, prompting a flurry of thoughts to race through my mind as I played along, concealing my growing unease behind a facade of normalcy. Deep down, I knew that scouring her phone or laptop for evidence of infidelity would likely yield nothing. Bianca was too careful, too calculated to leave a digital trail of her betrayal. But my past experiences had taught me to trust my instincts, no matter how irrational they may seem. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, that I was being played for a fool once again. Determined to uncover the truth, I resorted to more covert means of investigation. With the help of a spying app, I gained access to Bianca's phone, allowing me to monitor her conversations and interactions discreetly. What I discovered only confirmed my worst fears. Amidst her innocent exchanges with clients, there was one person she communicated with consistently, a familiar name from her past. It was her ex-boyfriend, the same man she had claimed to have left behind before we embarked on our relationship. Their conversations were laced with familiarity, a bond that transcended mere friendship. And when I overheard her confide in him about me, it felt like a betrayal of the highest order. As I listened to their laughter echo through the phone, a cold realization washed over me. I had been deceived once again. Bianca's assurances of love and loyalty had been nothing but empty promises, a facade to mask her true intentions. And as she joked about my unwavering devotion, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow for the trust I had placed in her, a trust that had been shattered beyond repair. The evening's revelations hit me like a freight train, igniting a fierce anger that simmered beneath the surface as I made my way back home. Bianca's casual lies and deceit had left me seething, my trust shattered into a million irreparable pieces. When she inquired about the groceries upon my return, I offered a fabricated excuse about an urgent call from the office, masking my fury behind a thin veil of deception. As Bianca left for her supposed girls' night out, her kiss on my cheek felt like a mockery of the truth. The facade of normalcy she wore only fueled my resolve to confront her once and for all. With a friend by my side, I stormed into the restaurant where Bianca and her boyfriend were rendezvousing, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and determination. The sight that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. Bianca, nestled close to her former flame, accepting his affections with a smile that twisted my insides. Without a word, I turned on my heel and walked out, my friend capturing the damning evidence on camera. Bianca's shock at my sudden appearance was evident, her facade crumbling as she scrambled to salvage the wreckage of her lies. Back at home, as Bianca attempted to explain herself, I remained stoic, my mind consumed by a whirlwind of emotions. Packing my belongings, I made a silent vow to extricate myself from this toxic situation, refusing to be drawn back into her web of deceit. In the days that followed, Bianca's attempts to reach out fell on deaf ears, her voice notes and messages drowned out by the deafening silence of my betrayal. Yet, even as I wrestled with the aftermath of our shattered relationship, new revelations continued to surface, painting a clearer picture of Bianca's duplicity. Discovering the contract she had been hiding only added fuel to the fire, confirming my suspicions of her unethical behavior. The realization that she had been jeopardizing her professional reputation for the sake of her illicit affair left a bitter taste in my mouth, further solidifying my resolve to sever all ties with her once and for all. As I grappled with the decision of whether to release the incriminating evidence to the public, I couldn't help but feel torn. Despite the betrayal, a part of me still hesitated to tarnish Bianca's carefully curated public image, weighed down by conflicting emotions and a lingering sense of loyalty. But amidst the turmoil of my emotions, one thing remained clear. I deserved better than the lies and deceit that had defined our relationship. And as I navigated the stormy seas of heartbreak and betrayal, I vowed to emerge stronger, leaving behind the shattered remnants of a love that had long since turned toxic. The storm of emotions raging within me threatened to consume everything in its path as I plotted my revenge against Bianca, the woman who had callously manipulated my trust and shattered my heart. The mere thought of her betrayal fueled a burning desire for retribution, a need to expose her deceit to the world. In the depths of my anger, I resolved to orchestrate a confrontation between Bianca and her lover, captured on video for all to see. It was a calculated move, driven by a thirst for justice and a desire to strip away the mask of innocence she wore so convincingly. Despite any lingering doubts or hesitations, my mind was set. Bianca would pay for her betrayal, no matter the cost. As I reflected on the disillusionment of marriage and the shattered illusions of love, I couldn't help but lament the sacrifices men like myself make for women who prove unworthy of our devotion. In Bianca's case, what I had believed to be the foundation of a future together had crumbled beneath the weight of her deception, revealing her true nature as just another woman willing to deceive and manipulate for her own gain. With each passing day, my resolve only strengthened, fueled by the realization that I had been played for a fool. Bianca's lies had been laid bare, her deceit exposed for all to see. And yet, even in the face of undeniable evidence, she persisted in her charade, weaving a web of falsehoods in a futile attempt to salvage what little remained of her tarnished reputation. But my vengeance knew no bounds. I seized the opportunity to unleash the damning evidence upon the world, sharing the video of Bianca's infidelity with the masses. The backlash was swift and merciless as her fans turned against her, branding her a cheater and a fraud. The repercussions were devastating. Her contracts terminated, her reputation in tatters, her world crumbling around her. As the dust settled on the aftermath of my revenge, I found a perverse satisfaction in the chaos I had wrought. Bianca's downfall was swift and merciless, her life unraveling before her eyes as she faced the consequences of her actions. And yet, even in her darkest hour, she remained defiant, refusing to acknowledge the gravity of her betrayal. But I was done with her. I had washed my hands of the woman who had so callously betrayed my trust. And as I watched from a distance, her world crumbled around her, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. For in the end, justice had been served, and Bianca had reaped what she had sown. In the whirlwind of events that unfolded, it became increasingly clear that the fallout from my actions was far from over. The latest chapter in this saga began when Bianca discovered that I was the one who had exposed her duplicity to the world by leaking the damning video and conversation online. How she came to this realization remains a mystery, though suspicions linger that perhaps her parents, caught between loyalty and truth, might have been the ones to inform her. Fueled by a tempest of rage, Bianca descended upon my temporary sanctuary at my friend's house, where I had sought refuge in the aftermath of our crumbling marriage. Her arrival was like a storm, marked by a barrage of accusations and vitriol. She accused me of ruining her life, vowing to dismantle mine in retaliation. Amidst her tirade, she hurled insults that cut deep, expressing regret over our marriage and belittling me in ways that bore into my very soul. Her words were a venomous mixture of contempt and fury, painting a picture of a woman scorned, yet also revealing the depth of her own betrayal. The situation escalated dangerously when, in a display of unbridled anger, Bianca resorted to vandalism. My friend, attempting to document her erratic behavior, became an unintended target as Bianca, seizing a large stone from the lawn, launched it at the window from which he was recording. The glass cracked under the force, a stark testament to the intensity of her wrath. But her fury did not stop at property damage. Confronting her outside, I was met with a scene that seemed to unravel in slow motion. In a chilling display of aggression, she brandished a small penknife, methodically slashing the tires of my car, rendering it immobile. The knife, an extension of her anger, then carved a long, spiteful line across the car's bodywork, a physical scar mirroring the emotional scars of our relationship. The aftermath of her departure left me seething with anger and disbelief. The car, now a symbol of the chaos Bianca had wrought, stood immobile and defaced. My friend, equally aggrieved by the damage to his property, was adamant that legal action was the only recourse. His resolve to sue Bianca for the broken window mirrored my own determination to hold her accountable for the extensive damage to my car. The decision to take legal action was not merely about seeking compensation, but about setting a boundary against her destructive behavior. In the days that followed, Bianca's online presence dwindled to a mere shadow of its former self. The storm of controversy surrounding her infidelity and unethical behavior had taken its toll, significantly diminishing her influence and following. The once vibrant and engaging content that had defined her social media persona was now conspicuously absent, a testament to the consequences of her actions. As I navigate the aftermath of this tumultuous chapter, the path forward is marked by a resolve to seek justice and rebuild from the ruins of a relationship marred by betrayal and deceit. The journey ahead is uncertain, but the steps toward healing and closure are clear, as I endeavor to move beyond the shadow of a marriage shattered by lies and vindictiveness. Since the tumultuous unraveling of my marriage to Bianca, the journey through the aftermath has been a public spectacle, thanks in no small part to the facade of perfection we had curated online. Many of our followers, who once envied the seemingly idyllic bond we shared, were left grappling with disbelief and disillusionment upon witnessing the stark reality behind our perfect marriage. The revelation of Bianca's infidelity, especially during what was supposed to be the blissful honeymoon phase of our union, shattered not just my heart, but the illusion of our marital bliss to the outside world. It was a painful reminder that the perfection often portrayed on social media is seldom real, and beneath the surface there can lie a tumult of secrets and lies. In facing this harsh truth, I came to understand that preserving my integrity was far more important than maintaining a facade of perfection for people I scarcely know. The decision to divorce Bianca and seek legal redress for her actions wasn't just about personal vindication. It was a stand against the betrayal and the chaos she had brought into my life. Fast forward to the recent culmination of these events, my resolve to pursue justice has borne fruit. After what felt like an eternity of legal battles and emotional turmoil, the court's decision finally came through, vindicating my friend and me. Bianca's attempt to twist the narrative in court was audacious, to say the least. She painted me as a jealous ex-husband, concocting a story of how I had supposedly vandalized my own property in a bid to frame her, following her departure for her ex-boyfriend. However, the truth was irrefutable, captured in the clear light of video evidence that showed her in the act of vandalizing both my friend's property and my own. The courtroom was a stage where the final act of our marriage played out, with the judge taking a dim view of Bianca's deceit. Upon reviewing the video, the judge's demeanor shifted perceptibly, her patience thinning as she realized the extent of Bianca's fabrications. It was a moment of vindication when the judge requested an estimate for the damages, a clear indication that justice was leaning in our favor. The ruling was more than just a legal victory. It was a moral one. It signaled the end of a chapter defined by betrayal and vindictiveness and the beginning of a new phase of rebuilding and healing. The court's decision to rule in our favour, mandating Bianca to compensate for the damages she had caused, was a bittersweet conclusion to a saga that had captured the attention of many who had once believed in the illusion we portrayed online. As I pen this update, the relief and sense of closure it brings are palpable. While the scars of this ordeal will undoubtedly take time to heal, the support and solidarity from friends, family, and even strangers online have been a silver lining. It's a poignant reminder that in the end, truth and integrity are values that withstand the trials of public scrutiny and personal betrayal. Thank you to everyone who stood by me through this ordeal. Your support has been a beacon of light in what was undoubtedly one of the darkest chapters of my life. As the saga of my tumultuous divorce from Bianca reached its climax, the final steps toward closure unfolded with a satisfying sense of justice. Following the court's ruling on compensation for damages, I wasted no time in presenting Bianca with the full extent of the financial burden she had wrought upon me and my friend. Armed with meticulous calculations of the costs of repairs and workmanship, I confronted her with the reality of her actions, leaving her with no choice but to accept responsibility for the havoc she had wreaked. The courtroom became a stage for the reckoning of Bianca's deceit, as the judge, unswayed by her attempts to spin a web of lies, ruled decisively in favour of both my friend and me. The video evidence of Bianca's violent outburst, captured in stark clarity, left no room for doubt or defence. Even her dear boyfriend's absence, conspicuous in its silence, spoke volumes about the true nature of their relationship and his loyalty. 2 weeks after the court's verdict, the divorce papers were finalised, marking the definitive end of my ties to Bianca. True to form, she wasted no time in signing them, perhaps eager to sever the last remaining threads of a marriage built on deceit and betrayal. As I watched her attempt to play the victim in the aftermath of her own making, I couldn't help but find a sense of irony in the unravelling of her carefully crafted image of perfection. With Bianca now firmly relegated to the annals of my past, I have taken proactive measures to ensure that she remains there. Blocking her on all mutual social media platforms serves as a symbolic gesture of closure, a final farewell to a chapter of my life marked by disillusionment and deceit. Reflecting on the events that led to this point, I am struck by the stark contrast between Bianca's facade of perfection and the reality of her true nature. Her downfall serves as a cautionary tale against the dangers of living a life built on falsehoods and deceit. In the end, authenticity and integrity prevail, shining through the facade of perfection to reveal the true essence of a person's character. As I bid farewell to Bianca and the tumultuous chapter of my life she represented, I am filled with a profound sense of relief and gratitude. The journey toward healing and closure may be long and arduous, but with each step forward, I am reminded of the strength and resilience that lie within. And so, with the weight of the past lifted from my shoulders, I look forward to the future with renewed hope and optimism.